Welcome students to Student Camps 2022, our exam preparation series. Today we're looking at the curriculum-based test for PEP Science. Let's get to it. Before we get started, just a few reminders. We want you to consider using your reasoning skills for any question that you're tackling. Remember, use the information given. Take your time to correctly interpret the question. What is it asking me to do? Now, in many cases, you may be given different options. So examine the options to determine which is most suitable. And of course, your answer must be based on evidence. Above all, remember to analyze and interpret the information given in the question. Okay, let's look at our first question. Now this question is based on the unit on light. So we're shown a diagram, and again we want to look carefully at the diagram. We see some rays of light hitting a surface, and what do you notice about the rays of light? It seems as if they are bouncing off, and they're bouncing off at different angles, right? So this surface is allowing the light to be bounced off at different angles. Now, what property of light would this depict? Is it absorption? Are the rays being absorbed? Is it refraction? Remember, what is refraction? Refraction is bending. So, are the light rays being bent in that particular case? Would it be scattering? Or would it be reflection? That is the answer. So the light rays are being reflected. Question 2. Here we have an investigation and the student is looking at 4 different rubber bands, okay? And they are being stretched across pieces of sticks, and notice the diagram. Let's look at the diagram carefully. Rubber band A, B, C, and D, right? And they're stretched, and we can see that the length of the bands are changing. Okay, so the statement says a student plucked each rubber band with equal force and observed that rubber band D produced the sound with the highest pitch. So before we move any further, we need to remember what is the pitch of a sound. What is the pitch of a sound? Right, the pitch denotes how high or how low the sound is. Not how loud it is, but how high or how low the sound is. So can you imagine if you have a rubber band stretched as far as possible and you pluck that rubber band compared to one that is barely stretched? Which do you think would give you the lowest sound or the highest sound? And that is what we refer to as the pitch. So let's see. What conclusion can be made about rubber band D? So look at rubber band D. Is it that it is the longest? Remember, conclusion is using your observation to come up with some sort of summary, right? So stating that it is the longest, is that a conclusion? We can see that from the picture, but is that a conclusion? No. So is it that rubber band D weighs the most? Obviously, again, remember, you can eliminate the answer that is way out. So B is certainly way out. So we're left with A and C. So when I stretch rubber band D, remember it's stretched the furthest, do you think I would get a high sound, right? Or a low sound? And from your experience, is it that it is vibrating fast or it's vibrating slowly? Exactly. We think that rubber band D being stretched the furthest is going to vibrate the fastest, and that is why we would get the highest pitch from rubber band D. Excellent. All right, we're now looking at sound, and we're looking at the continuous honking of car horns along with the sounds coming from mufflers of cars and bikes is best classified as, and notice we have circled the word best. So we're looking at the best answer. So some of those answers can work, but which is the best answer? Would that be classified as high-pitched sounds? Who knows? Maybe. But is it the best answer? Would that be classified as air pollution? No, certainly that answer is way out, so we can almost take it out, right? Would that be classified as a warning noise? Remember, the question says the continuous honking of horns. So we're thinking of something that keeps on getting on our nerves, right? Okay, so it means that our best answer is noise pollution. Great. A diamond sparkling in a brightly lit room could be classified as what type of object? Now, before we even start to look at our answers, it would be good to remind ourselves what a diamond looks like. Now, can you envision a diamond in your mind? Okay. What are some properties of that diamond? Well, certainly, it is transparent. Yes. No, in the options given, transparent is not an option. So, we know that the diamond is transparent. Yes, that means that light will pass through it in all kinds of directions, right, making it sparkle. Now, is it that the diamond produces the light of itself? Is it a luminous object? Can it produce light? Or it just reflects the light? Is it an opaque object? No, we just said that the diamond is transparent. So it is not opaque, and it would not be classified as translucent, which is that it allows only some light to pass through. So our best answer would be that diamond, although it sparkles, it is non-luminous. It does not produce its own light. Great job. And now for our final question. Now, as you notice, this question is filled with information. All right? We have a table showing 4 different locations. So I would advise you to take your time and to look carefully at what is given. You have 4 different locations. You're given information on average rainfall for these 4 different locations. And you're shown also the mass of freshly fallen and rotten leaves, and that's given in kilograms. And in the final column, rotten leaves in kilograms. Okay, so before we even start to look at the question, let us see if we can find any patterns, any trends, all right? So in our 4 locations, what is changing for our 4 locations? So if we look at the rainfall, right, we see that rainfall is increasing from location 1 to location 4. Okay, so we have established that there is a change in rainfall. So it means that that would affect the 3rd column and the 4th column, which looks at the number or the mass of fallen and rotten leaves. So as you can see, is there a trend in the 3rd column? So what we do see is that except for the first location, the amount of fallen and rotten leaves seems to be decreasing, yes, with the rainfall. Okay, so that's one observation. What about the rotten leaves in column 4? Is that increasing? So when the rainfall was 123, the mass was 5. When the rainfall was 226, so almost doubled, the mass was 200. When the rainfall was 286, the mass of rotten leaves is 150. And when it increased by another almost 100 millimeters, the mass was still 150. Okay, so we're going to use that information to make to determine whether the statements given are true or not, whether we agree or disagree. Okay, so we have already analyzed our table. Now let's look at the question. We're given two statements and we're asked to indicate whether we agree or disagree with the statements based on the information in the table. So the first statement says, if the average rainfall for location 4 is 400 millimeters, the percentage mass of rotten leaves will increase. Do we agree or disagree with that statement? Now let's look at the statement a little more carefully. Now, if we just analyze, we may think that it's just asking us for the mass of rotten leaves, in which case we would disagree. However, it says the percentage mass of rotten leaves. And so, if we're looking at percentage mass, which is the amount of rotten leaves over the total, as the rainfall increases, the percentage mass of rotten leaves actually increases. All right? And so our answer for the first statement would be that we would agree with that statement. So our answer is A. Now let's look at the second statement. If location 3 experiences a severe drought, the percentage of rotten leaves would most likely increase. Again, the key word we're looking at is the percentage and most likely increase. So, location 3 has a good amount of rainfall. If it experiences drought, and notice it says severe drought, it means the rainfall would decrease significantly. Now look at the amount of rotten leaves compared to the total amount of leaves. Would the percentage mass of rotten leaves increase? Highly unlikely, because we see that there's very little rotten leaves when the rainfall is below 200 millimeters. So our answer would be B. We would actually disagree with that statement. All right, so I hope you have done a lot of work. You have seen what it takes to prepare for your examinations. And so we want to wish you all the best on your exams, and join us next time on our exam preparation series, Student Camps 2022. Good luck.